what's up? Just some quickie thoughts on WWDC before I get home here. Just like I wanna either do a video that's more comprehensive or one that's more thought out, because the memories are starting to fade. But major things that made me think of words. Really disappointed that nothing was said about new Macs. I guess I shouldn't be too surprised, but I was kind of hoping for that. Really disappointed that there was no one more thing kind of deal. I don't know if Apple's trying to cool off on that, or maybe they just really didn't have anything else, which that was kind of the feeling that I had overall, was like, that's it? That's what you've got? This is what you've been working on? Now, let's start with the thing that most people, I think, cared about, which was iPhone. iOS, very, very bleh. Very happy about the notification changes. Really glad to see that notifications will be grouped together by app, because holy fuck, is that one thing that I really, really missed from Android. Interesting, because they said something about them being grouped together by topic. Kind of want to know what that's about. What does that even mean? The idea that the OS actually tells you, hey, you don't really use this app and you don't do anything with the notifications. You want to, like, stop getting notifications? I'm glad that that's happening. But a lot of it just... it's not fair to say that they were playing catch-up with Android and everything, particularly the acting against notifications thing, because that's something that was just announced, I think, with P. But I don't know. I can't remember. It might have been something in O. Oreo. Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, and then there was a lot of nothing. There was a lot of shit I did not care about. Like, some of the changes to, like, voice, memos, news, all that stuff. It's like, yeah, I appreciate it. I'm glad it's happening, but whatever. No one really cares that much, and that's obviously why Apple pushed all those together into their own little group of what was it app updates or whatever. Fucking no one cares. The new Siri stuff, really cool. I think everybody was expecting what's the app, Workflow, to kind of get rolled into the operating system at a basic level. And that's essentially what's been done there. The UI is extremely reminiscent of Workflow, which was already extremely reminiscent of Automator on macOS anyway. So nothing super surprising there. Just really glad to see it. Glad to see more extension to the way that Siri integrates with the operating system, even if it's still ultimately just acting like a shortcut application. Like, Siri still can't do anything that's all that majorly helpful on its own, but at least they're doing something, I guess. And I mean, I do think that the whole Workflow thing, what are they even calling them? Are they calling them shortcuts? I think so. I think that'll probably change the way that a lot of people use their iPhones, but at the same time, I wonder how often regular, like, typical end users actually will make use of that feature. I don't think most regular people really do that much complex stuff with their phones. And I really don't know. I guess it's an extension of the whole, like, the thing you can do with the Google Assistant, or specifically with Google Home, where it's like, hey Google, give me it's time to get up, or whatever, or morning routine, and you have Assistant, like, set the coffee to start brewing and do all this other shit, read your news and all that. I guess it's an extension of that. The hell was that? Is that a cat? I think there was a cat. Yeah, I guess it's an extension of that. What is a cat? It straggles. But yeah, I don't see it making, like, a massive change, but I think it's nice, and I feel a lot of the same way about iOS 12 that I did about 11, which is just that it feels like there's more there, or more that could be done there, but it's just not. It feels lacking in terms of real advancement, and like that it's close, but just not quite there. Notification actions with iOS 11 were a big thing, and they're still not being utilized to their fullest in iOS 12. And I wonder if part of it is because 3D touch isn't ubiquitous across all devices yet. Because I do think that could make a big difference with notifications and how you can interact with them, and even how you can interact with the entire operating system if 3D touch becomes a ubiquitous feature, instead of it being just another shortcut type thing. If we could rely on that being there, then we'd be able to come up with new ways of doing it. I think that's why it hasn't received the same level of adoption as a lot of other features, and why it's more or less a gimmick or an additional thing, because there are way too many iPhone 5S's and iPhone 6's still out there. Because, yeah, 3D touch wasn't until the 6S, right? I think so. But, yeah. And apparently iOS 12 is going to hit the 5S. So, that sucks. And the 5SE, obviously. I just hope we get a 5SE refresh in November, September, right? I can't remember anymore. I think it's September. I hope so. That's the main thing. Apple Watch. Oh boy, Apple Watch stuff. Now you have background audio on Apple Watch. Do people actually listen to music on their Apple Watch? I guess they do if they actually get the cellular version of the Series 3 for some fucking reason. And, like, I don't even remember any of the other features. A lot of it was just carried over from iOS. Like, the Siri watch face now has third-party app integration. I don't know. I don't have an Apple Watch, so it's hard for me to be excited about it. And Apple TV. Whoo, boy. They really had that lady up there just embarrassing herself trying to make tvOS seem exciting. It's not a dead platform by any means. It's just like, what do you do with it? It's just like, I think there's a reason that Chromecast is just that. Like, there's a reason that the fucking Nexus set-top box never went anywhere, you know? And then macOS. macOS had some cool things, and there was also a part at the end that I didn't catch with phase. I saw it was like phase 1 of integrating macOS and iOS somehow, and I'm not sure what that's about. I'll have to watch that part again. But that's interesting. I read a short article mentioning it that said it was something like they're going to lead into running iOS apps on macOS. Really curious how that's going to go. I'm thinking it's probably them trying to make a move towards a universal Windows platform equivalent with like a unified operating system kind of thing, where you'll still have your native Cocoa apps running alongside Swift apps that are able to work on both types of devices. I'm sure that that's what they're going to end up going for in the long run. Cool to see dark mode. The desktop stacks are weird, but I get it. Stacks are kind of one of the most interesting features in the way that macOS does files. So I don't really keep anything on my desktop in macOS though, so I don't know what that's about. I also don't really know how to use tags effectively, so maybe it's just me. I did find the preview, or like the slideshow view, to be kind of funny, along with the preview pane type thing, because it's like, for one, macOS kind of already had that. It was the cover flow type thing, and then on top of that, Windows 7 had a view like that. XP might have even had that. Actually, it did. Windows XP had that, where you had a series of pictures at the bottom, and then it showed the selected picture up at the top. And I think you could even do like rudimentary actions on it. If you couldn't in Windows XP, I know you can in Windows 7, and obviously Windows 10. So I just find that really funny. They act like it's some big new innovation, but not only has it been present in Windows since like 2000, 2003, 2001, can't remember. Since then, but on top of that, macOS already had basically the exact same feature previously. It looked like they replaced it with that different view. That's just goofy. What else was there with macOS? I can't remember. Oh, the App Store. Yeah, the Mac App Store update is another thing that, one, it's leaning very much toward the unified operating system kind of thing. Since the design and the little sections are very reminiscent of the iOS App Store. And I think that's something that's been a long time coming, because the Mac App Store is actually, up until now, up until Mojave, was one of the last holdouts in terms of design that went back to, like, it's pretty much the same design as whenever it was first released back in like the Snow Leopard. I think Snow Leopard had, the Snow Leopard days. Like, it still had the same like loading bars, the like I want to say it still had some skeuomorphism to it in some places. It was just gross. The buttons, the purchase buttons, I think still have skeuomorphism to them, which is just, it's funny that something that's supposed to be core to their desktop operating system has been left in the dust for so long. But I guess that's how it goes whenever your desktop systems are very much playing second fiddle to your mobile platforms. It's so sad because I like macOS a lot, but I don't know what they could possibly do to make me want a MacBook again. I don't know. I think that was it. I don't think there was anything else major in macOS or in anything else. Performance got better in iOS, but I mean, good. But yeah, I'll probably do something that's less rambly, maybe more concise, but also more comprehensive at the same time. I have an idea that I think will be entertaining. We'll see whether or not I actually go through with it. You like how I keep moving my eyebrows when I talk? I don't know why I do that. I think that's a defense mechanism for whenever my body's feeling not all that charismatic. Makes me feel like I'm charismatic. I'm not charismatic. Bye!